Keep the shoes. All right, LukaNation. We got a really special episode for you guys, and it's been a while since we kind of had a true guest episode. And this is someone we could have had on the 10 for 10 series. It's somebody I've met at Bleecker and got to spend a few hours with him and his boy Wiz the Collector, and just chat, vibe, and pick up, kind of some of your strategy, some of your learning. So I hope that we can share that today with our community, right? Because there's so many new collectors in this space. Some people are doing well. Some of the new people are kind of asking questions, there's a little bit of uncertainty going into 2022. So I want to introduce you. You guys know this man. His name is Raphael. We're friends now, so I could call you that. But you guys know him on Instagram as Prizm Gawd. You guys follow him. You know kind of what he's about. Culture, cards, shoes. By the way, he has a show that we'll talk about in February in Atlanta that is a don't miss type of show called The Culture Collision. But Raphael, I want to welcome you to the show first, but I want to ask you if you could, here we are, it's December, basically the end of the year. Recap in just the way you would. What was 2021 like for you in cards?
Okay, first of all, I'll say thank you for inviting me to the show. I appreciate you guys for having me. 2021 was a pretty amazing year. I feel like 2020 was really exhausting. But 2021, I felt like we kind of hit the ground running because the world kind of opened up. And so when the world kind of opened up, we started going to all these different shows, and we just started all these new shows popped up. So it became a grind, a real grind, so to speak. So it's like I was used to traveling every weekend, and but not as much as I'm traveling now. Now it's flights 3, 4, 5 hours, and then going from weekends from where I'm leaving on Friday night, come back on Saturday night. Now it's Thursday night, coming back on Monday sometimes, and then so it is definitely a grind. But
and most of your buying is shows. Most of your buying you do at shows.
Yes. I find that you get the best deals at shows. I mean, I know people. So here's 101 for people who are new to the hobby. And I've seen this happen, and I'm sure Cage and Goldberg, I'm sure you guys have seen this too, is don't buy something off eBay and then try to sell it to me at what you paid for on eBay. Because then, unfortunately, I can't pay what eBay sold for. So that's the one thing as a new person, don't do that. If you're going to buy it, at least have the idea that I'm going to hold it to where maybe I'm holding on for a couple of months. And that goes back to like investing 101. Investing 101 says basically do not invest money that you need right now. So you should not invest money into something that you need right now. It's just reality. You don't put money in your 401k that you potentially need for Christmas or something like that, or something when you're going to need, because when you do that, there's risk involved. What if it's a down market? What if something else is going on? So there's risk involved. So you have to be able to weather those storms. So that's one of the things that one of the steps I think most people make as when you're new.
A lot of people over leveraged. I love it because here's the first thing I'm thinking about. If you listen to the show, I try to put myself in the shoes of our listeners every now and again, right? And there are people who have come in the last couple of years, and they're traveling. They're going to shows. They're going to shows. And I don't do it. I'm too busy. I got kids. I got a wife who will kill me. You know a little bit about that, but it is what it is, right? So, but the fun part is I go to shows locally, right? And I'll go to trade nights, I'll go to shows. And if you go to the same local shows every couple of weeks, every month or so, you see the same people with the same cards, right? Mm-hmm. So talk to me about the every week, every other week, going to a different show, going to Dallas, being in Atlanta, going to California, you name it, seeing different people, seeing different stuff. Do you have a plan for those shows, right? Because if I base my show experience on what I've done here locally, I wouldn't want to pay for an airfare and go travel and spend a whole weekend going to the show because I just assume it's going to be the same stuff.
That's a good point. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to change in Atlanta was just that. Our regular, we have a show that's every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, it's a stale show. No disrespect to the show promoter. He's a great guy. But when you're, an older generation and you don't care about, you feel like success is one thing, right? And you're just happy with it. And it is what it is. I sell 200 tables every week. The same 200 people sign up every week. And unfortunately, about 150 of those people out of the 200 tables are the exact same people from 20 years ago who has inventory from 20 years ago.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the problem is they don't travel either. And they're not proactive in the community. So I think that you and I both, well, you guys could probably agree that the market is a little bit more like day trading now than it's ever been before.
Yep.
And unfortunately, when we're dealing with commodities or things that ultimately some things are more desirable than others. And it goes back to what I said a minute ago, which is if you're investing into something that potentially could be a longer term hold, then you shouldn't put it on the table, first of all, unless it's something that's going to make you a little bit of money. Unless you just want to break even. And I don't think anybody really is doing that unless they're trying to want to be a collector. So to answer your question in reference to traveling and seeing the same things, I think it's one of the reasons why I do travel is because we do see the same things in Atlanta. I do try to go to shows because COVID had kind of kept us stagnant for almost a year and a half or whatever. I started to focus on shows that have not had shows. So that's why I ended up going to New York. That's why I went to Hofstra. That's why I went to Philly, because all these new shows and new markets that I've never been to, I was like, okay, well, they have to have people who have been sitting in the house, who are scared to leave the house, who couldn't grade cards, who couldn't do this, couldn't that. And honestly, I was right. There was a lot of people that I ran across in these different markets, in East Coast market and the West Coast market, who are not as active as, say, myself or somebody else. And because of that, you run across the right people. One card can change the whole weekend.
Well, the difference also is, you're setting up at the table, right? I'm walking around the show as a person at the show. I don't see all the stuff that's available because people walk up with their case to your table, say, "Hey, are you buying?" You get that deal flow that comes to you because of the table. Whereas, if I were more unscrupulous, I could just eye hustle, stand at a table, see what card come by, and be like, "Oh, he's not buying that," or "He's buying it. I'll give you $5 more and a bag of chips at the snack bar." I don't do that. I think it's wrong, but that is one of those important things about having a table and the deal flow coming in. Because I left Hofstra saying that show was garbage, and you might have left Hofstra buying a couple cards that made the weekend. Somebody might have come up to you at the show with like a banger that I didn't even get to see.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think that I think the best combination is being able to have a table and be able to walk around. I think that's kind of like the combination that you really have to have, which requires a team, unfortunately. And if you don't have a team, guess what? It does become a little bit more difficult. So for me, I don't really have a team per se. So for the most part, all I do is I sit at my table and I just kind of hope for the best. And most of the time it does work out. Like Hofstra did actually work out for me. That's why I went back to
time. Is that right? How did Philly treat you?
Philly has always been a blessing to me. I mean, I picked up some of my biggest cards of the year this year. I picked up the 101 Justin Herbert in Philly. I picked up a gold Zion second year in Philly. In Hofstra, I picked up the 101 KPJ Nebula. So traveling has been a good blessing to me. I mean, I picked up the Kobe Exquisite in Philly this past weekend and the Magic in Philly. So, and then the first Philly show I picked up that I went to, I picked up like three nice soccer player. Gosh, I forgot his name. Germany.
Messi?
No,
Germany.
Haaland, right. I picked up some nice stuff. I picked up a gold Haaland from Philly, raw. I picked up a nice Joe Burrow, PSA 10. Lady just walks to me. That was the first show in Philly I ever been to. She says, "Do you buy cards with no comps?" I'm like, yeah. I mean, so it's like you love those situations because it's just like, all right, whatever. And there's no comps. She's happy. I'm happy. And we're both happy. So that's why I like to go to different places that I've not had shows or I've never been to before. So different markets. Like I haven't been to Denver market. I've been to Arizona market. I mean, it's so many places to be.
Talk to us about Zion. So we saw a picture this week where he looks like he's 444 pounds. Then we saw another picture where he looks like a bodybuilder. He looks ripped. You're holding a big card of his, a PSA 10. We have like gold fever, right? Gold is everything right now in the market. Doesn't even matter if it's a rookie card. Are you worried? Are you not? Are you buying low on Zion? Talk to us because a lot of people are holding Zion bags, not just in the gold, but base and silver. And Cage, I'm curious your take on Zion too.
I think he's trolling us. I think that sweatsuit that was him. He knows people are looking to say he's fat. I think he put that sweatsuit on. Notice it's a public thing. Way. It's a whole deal. Oh yeah, I think he's trolling. Dude. I do. I really do.
mean,
Zion's demeanor is not a troll though. He's like a teddy bear. He's so nice and friendly and always
Yeah, but I
smiling.
think he's still listen. I'm friendly, nice too. But the one button I don't want you to push is call me fat.
You call yourself fat.
Yeah, I could call myself fat. You can't call me fat. That's a
I would
difference.
say, arguably, I think Zion's a billionaire, man. He's a billionaire, and that's just his worth in terms of what he does for the NBA for the future. I don't think he's happy in New Orleans for one. For two, I don't think. I mean, we're talking about a kid who's 19 years old. I mean, I'm 280, and I'm not 6'6", and I don't got $1 billion. But if I had $1 billion and I'm 6'6" at 300 pounds or 330 pounds, and I got $1 billion, and you're telling me, you know, and here's the thing too is
you're right. By the way, that's like $100,000 a year beignet budget right there in New Orleans, like at least bare minimum, like good beignets too.
But we're talking about somebody who's 19 years old, and I think going back to when you were 19 years old, how fast could you burn fat, man? We're talking about somebody who's an athlete. And we're talking about an elite athlete. So to me, with the type of money that he has and the people that he have access to, either A, I agree that he's probably trolling us. B, you know, I mean, okay, so what? I think that the kid's 19 years old. He'll be fine. I think even if he's not happy in New Orleans, he wants to move on. I think it's one of those things. Buy Zion while you can. I think there's going to be even if he is a fluke long term, right? There's still going to be a time that you can buy him and sell him and make him out. And it depends on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to make money, or do you think he's somebody who you think is a genuine article? And I can't say he's a genuine article long term because I can't promise you anything. But in terms of what he does for the NBA and what he does for the hobby, I think he's going to do exactly what he's supposed to do. I think he's going to come back and play and average 20 and 10, and nope, everybody's going to forget. Oh man, or they're gonna say, "Oh, he's fat, but he's still putting up 20 and 10." Do you really care? If he's putting up 20 and 10 every night? I mean, you go, all right, whatever. He'll eventually burn it at some point. But I do think he does need to get to where his conditioning is a lot better, and I hope that he does figure that out. But I think I would pray, for the better for the guy instead of. I hate that people sit here and dog him out on social media and Facebook. I just think the kid's 19 years old, man. You got to give him a break a little bit. I mean, just imagine being 19 years old with an infinite bank account. You want to go travel the world and eat good food and go do things you've never done before. And sometimes those things, maybe you gain 20, 30 pounds.
I was going to say, I think he just wants to game and eat good food and drink Mountain Dew. That's what I got from his commercial. That's not a terrible life. My co-host does that.
Exactly. I don't love Mountain Dew, but other than that, yeah, it's all the same.
Well, no, I used to drink Mountain Dew. Now I'm just more of a water guy.
See? Oh, that's good. I can't do water.
More a water guy, man.
I can't do water. Water needs caramel coloring and carbonation, and then I'm good.
Man,
so the timing of this is really interesting. So I don't know if you saw the news. So I got it. So PSA has brought regular back. You guys see this today? That announcement?
Yes.
I saw it.
But
they're doing it with a Q. Am I getting that right?
I haven't got a chance to pay attention to it. If they're doing a Q, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, 100%, man. And they did this whole announcement, right? It was Nat Turner. He was doing a little dance. I'm bringing Reggie back.
What?
Yeah, he got it. He did bring him Reggie. No, he didn't do it, but he should have. That would have been awesome.
See, it's the wife's weekend, so I haven't really been on social media as much as I want to. So it's crazy. That's how he did it?
No, they didn't. But it would be great if he did. It would have been awesome. Because then people be talking about that instead of the fact that you still can't grade with PSA, even though they brought regular back at $100 per card.
I'm willing to bet it closes out before the end of the year, and we'll be back to that weight. I think they close it out by February.
So what they're doing, it seems like, is a queue system where you go on at a certain time. You have to have an account already set up with them, and you it's almost like a lottery. Where they're not going to let you sub unless you are one of the ones selected in the queue, and they're going to have a certain number of cards. It is, by the way, something that makes sense they know what their capacity is to take in 10,000 cards this week. And if you happen to get in the queue and you luck out, win the lottery, that'll cap it. That way they don't get behind. And you would figure that as they build up capacity, they get rid of the backlog, they hire more people that are trained, they can expand the queue even more to whatever their capacity is going forward so that they don't get into a backlog. I think that's sort of what they messaged out.
Okay.
But even at $100 a card, listen, I'm a baller, but I'm not that kind of baller.
I just paid it $150 and I'll just get it guaranteed within a couple weeks. I think it's probably a better bet in my opinion. It still changes the dynamics of how we buy cards and how we grade cards. That's the unfortunate part. I told somebody at Beckett, this is one of the conversations I had. I don't know if I should say this or not, but I told him they should drop their prices. I told him I think you should drop the prices. I think you should make grading more affordable to the average consumer. And because right now it's just a few select. I mean, you send 10 cards and it's $1,000. I just got back 450 slabs. It's literally like 150 of them back there. I got another package for another 250. Like, so it's just like over 400 cards I just got back. And it's insane, man. And just thinking about if I had to grade 400 cards times $100, that's insane. That's just.
And you have the bankroll. There's a lot of people came in the hobby this year. They don't have that bankroll.
Well, but here's the question: how many of those cards would you grade for $100?
Oh, the stuff I get right here, none.
But then it's working. So then there is a sweet spot for PSA where they can likely get the same amount of money in for an increased amount per card. You know, that they're bringing in a fee for grading for less cards being graded. They're basically finding that sweet spot. You know, and not taking in and using their bandwidth to grade Tyler Hero second year Hoops Premium, inserts.
But that's bad though for the hobby, man. If you think about it from an aspect of, I mean, because all cards are kind of like art, right? I mean, then it take away from the whole black label idea or just having a better quality card. I don't know. It's kind of weird for me. I just feel like
you are preaching to the converted, as they say. I am with you. I've been saying that since the beginning. That the level, I don't know where you started. I don't know if you came into this and brought $1 million with you and said, you know what, I'm taking this and my million is easy and I'm buying exquisite. But that's not how I came in. I came into this doing, $1, $2, $3, $4 cards. I was buying Klay Thompson $5 2012 Prizm cards. I was buying Devontae Graham. I was buying Andre Drummond Prizm cards. Like I was buying, tiny cards, Derek Jeter cards. I was grading cards and the bulk subs were $8. $8, and I was
Paul Pierce 2012 Prizm. Cage had the whole set.
That's
every single PSA 10.
I was the first 25 graded. Were all mine.
That was the original. See, that was the original grind. Yeah. People don't understand. That was the original grind that really made grinding. Like it was. I'm gonna go to a show, my local show, and I'm gonna go through a box of cards, and I'm going to figure out what can make me the most amount of money. So you want to ask the question about how I got started? I did not come from an aspect of knowing what I liked or knew what was good. I only bought what made sense. And in the beginning, I used to make it my business to grade about 100 cards a month. My threshold was, all right, let me try to see if I can turn a $20 card into a $150 card. If I grade 100 cards a month, okay, that's $14,000. Yep. Or, so that was my mentality at the time. It was like, let me figure out how to scale myself so I can get to the cards that I really want to have because I couldn't afford to buy those cards. Now, of course, do the groundwork, the traveling, buying the right cards, investing into the right things. I got to a space to where I'm a little bit more comfortable and I can do things differently. But, that's why I tell people in the beginning, don't fall in love with anything because you don't know it's good yet. You don't, unless you pull something.
Listen, and you can get lucky, but here's the best part about talking to you, right? So you understand both sides of the equation because normally we have people on here and I like to tell them, hey, this is how I did it, right? But the problem with how I did it, which is, like you said, grading 100 cards, sending a bulk in every month, right? And getting 60 or 70 or 80 of them as 10s, and the $20 on those are going to turn into 100, 150 bucks.
But
sure,
putting in the sweat equity too, right? Like going and finding those 100 right cards.
But our listeners are willing to put in the sweat equity. They would have done this, but right now, I think what Rav is saying is that's not available to them. They can't do that grind. Even they're willing to put in the sweat, but that's not there. And what he's saying is you need a cheap way of doing it. This way, those folks who are ready to grind can grind, right? But the flip side is normally that ends the conversation. Because the people listening are like, well, Cage, that's great that you did that 2 years ago, but we can't do that now. That's 100%. Why I asked you about going to shows. Because you've now pivoted the grind. You take your bankroll, you take your cards, and you have figured out the travel, the moving. You take your card you buy in Philly, and then you sell it either online, you do a story sale, or you bring it with you. The next week, You bought it in Philly, you bring it next week to Denver, or you buy it in Hofstra and you bring it the next week down to Atlanta. And what's funny is you mentioned the KPJ Nebula. I must have seen that card a half dozen times because I know who had it. Like I've seen it at Bleecker, and you saw it. I'm like, all right, you know what? I think I have a KPJ guy who might want this, or you know what? I think he's gonna be good. I'm gonna take a gamble on this one. This is the one that I want to buy, right?
Yeah.
So one that I was like, all right, well, you ever gonna get rid of that? You were like, I want that card. You know what I mean? I mean, because maybe you have a KPJ guy. Who knows? You know what I mean? So that's for folks listening, right? It's they say there's more than one way to skin a cat, which is terrible because I don't know if you like cats, you shouldn't be skinning them, but that's the saying, right? And he has found a different way of doing it, and there's 3 and 4 and 5 ways of doing it. So that's the key, guys. That's the key takeaway from this. It's when one door shuts, find another way in the house. Climb in the window. Go down the chimney like the fat man at the end of the month. Figure something out, right? Don't give up. And I get you with the grading, right? That's what I'm nervous about because people think that was the way to do it. And if $100 a card is the only way to grade with PSA, and none of the other companies right now are willing to drop down and be somebody that's able to actually help these people to grind, well, you know what they're going to do? They're going to sell sneakers, or going to sell NFTs, or they're going to do something else where there's a flip capability, right? So I'm with you, man. I trust me, I get it. I want to hear more about the show stuff. Like, take me through it, right? Do you go in with a game plan? Do you say, hey, at this show, it's basketball season, so I'm looking for this guy, and this guy? Or do you just say, you know what? I got this much to spend. I'm going to look for a card that I can turn that money into 20% more next week because I know I'm going to a different location. Talk to me about it because this is interesting to me.
Well, I think there's a lot of different strategies to it. I mean, you hear the most common one from a lot of people is, hey, guys, you see this all the time on Facebook, and you'll see it in person at shows is, hey, I'm paying 75% of comps. And they might spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 with you, and they're making the 25 to 30% or whatever the case may be. And if they're buying the right stuff, maybe they make a little bit more because maybe it's trending up, right? A week later, it's trending up. So now maybe they're making 40, 50% come a week later. So I think that those are the dynamics you have to go with. I think that, for me, I buy what makes sense. People always say, what are you buying? I'm like, I'm buying what makes sense. But, and that could be different from week to week. So you're right. Going into the football season, you saw me buying. If you check my posts, I was posting heavily football. I don't typically, if you know me personally, I don't hold football. It's just not one of those things that I feel comfortable holding, just because unless it's Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady's like the only equation. I'm like, all right, if I get a nice Tom Brady card, I'm gonna put it to the side. And even then, depending on which one it is, I'm like, I don't know about that one. Like
not Matt Ryan.
Nah. Nah.
Okay.
No. But I do like certain quarterbacks, but it's scary though, man, right? Like, because quarterback is injured, man. It's like you got to hold that thing I call it dead money, right? When it's like it's not doing anything. It's like no matter if you have the best card in the world, right? And you could have got $100,000 for it, right? And you're talking about a situation where they get injured, you have to wait a whole year just to even see if they're going to be better than they were before they got injured. That's scary to me. I mean, so to me, I'm like, I don't know. I don't like those type of gambles. I think basketball is a lot easier to understand. It is a lot easier to figure out. It's less players. And that's why I don't do baseball either. But if I do baseball, it's literally I'm buying. What I'll do is I'll sell into it basically. So I'll buy football before football season is like right now. If you believe baseball is going to start out, you should probably be buying baseball right now. And that's a whole situation. So I'm just kind of throwing a little gem out there for anybody that's buying baseball. You should probably be buying baseball right now because they're on strike. And then if it changes by the time the season starts, guess what? You're going to get 25 to 30% bump. The season will start. You probably get 40, 50%, and you'll make some money.
The gem you dropped is not by baseball now. The gem you dropped, and people gloss over it, right? And Andrew, if I give you 4 guesses, you're probably not going to be able to pull out the gem. Here's the gem.
I know it. I already know it.
You want me to let you say it, or you want me to just throw it out there?
It's the trending up or trending down part.
It's the 25 to 30% part. Because a part of the part that people don't get with this stuff is people have ridiculous expectations because of what the last couple of years have brought them. Right? You and I talk about how when we were grading, you take the $10, $20 card, you turn it into $150. That's 7x over and over again every month, almost constant, right? You're not getting that right now, right?
Correct.
You can. You might get lucky on something. You might find that bargain. You may find the diamond in a rough. You may happen to be the guy who hits on Boston Jr. the night before he goes crazy after coming out of the G League, right? I mean, and do you know what I'm talking about, Andrew? Boston Jr.? Prizm Gawd knows what I'm talking about. That dude dropped 40 in the G League. They promoted him. He led the team in scoring the other night.
Who is this?
I don't remember his name. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Boston Jr. Look it up, man, while I'm
What
talking.
are you
But anyway,
talking about? You made this guy up.
No, I didn't. Come on. Do you guys watch basketball? So anyway, the point is, be reasonable with your expectations, right? And
Brandon Boston Jr. is crashing the party earlier than expected on the Clippers.
Right. Brandon Boston Jr. on the Clippers, dude. He led the team in scoring the other night.
Kid
is good.
I did see that. He's from Norcross, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, he came out from the G League. He scored 40 in the G League. They brought him up and he led the team in scoring. Yeah, flex on you. No, but the point that I'm trying to make, right, is 25-30%. That's like Warren Buffett in the real world. I know sometimes in cards we're talking fantasy land here, and it's always like, I need to buy something this weekend that I could turn around for 10x next month. All right, guys, get that out of your brain. Right? It could happen, sure, maybe, right? But the world is a little different in the hobby than it was 2 years ago. And 100%. There's nothing wrong with, like you said, putting up an ad saying, hey, guys, I'm paying 75% of comps right now. I'm paying 70% of comps if you're buying a bulk, right? Because you buy $10,000 worth of cards at $7,000, right? Or $7,500, and you turn it at the show into 10 or 11. You just made $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, right? I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that in a weekend. Exactly, in one weekend.
I like what Raphael said. Just to add a second asterisk to that is also look for cars that you could buy at 60, 70, 75% of comps that are trending up, right? Because sometimes you could get a car cheap, but it's trending down, and in 2-3 weeks, it's actually the price you bought it at. And you could see those trends,
100%.
right? So just also make those little green arrows pointing up sometimes on CNBC and red arrows pointing down. Try to have those green arrows pointing up when you're buying too.
100%. No, you're dead on, man. I mean, it's just the industry has definitely changed. I think I had a friend who literally did similar situation. I just got back from Philly. Yeah, one of my friends bought a card for I think $1,800, and somebody offered him $2,000. I was just like, "You don't want to sell it?" He's like, "No, I want $3,000." I said, "He covered your flight to get here." Like, why not? Like, so you're betting on, and it's like, I was telling him, it's like, it's not numbered. I don't understand. Like, it's, and that goes back to what I said. You don't know what's good yet. When you get something that's so irreplaceable that when you sell it, you will never see it again, then you know it's good. And when you get there, you'll know it. And most of the time, if you're in the hobby, chances are you can't even afford to keep it. Because,
and by the way, think about what you're saying there with the flight. People miss this also, right? Because if you're sitting at home and you're a keyboard warrior on the phone, you name it, you bought something for $1,800 on eBay, and then you get a $2,000 offer on eBay, you can't take it because you're losing money.
Correct.
But by going to shows and you're dealing in cash, right? Exactly. And you buy a car for $1,800 and sell it the next day for $2,000, you're making money on that. That's a huge difference. Right, that's a huge difference, not to be overlooked. Right, you sell a $2,000 on eBay, you're getting 17 and change back after all said and done. You mail it to somebody, you got to hold your breath for 30 days that that guy doesn't get hurt, it doesn't get returned on your ass. So yeah, I mean, it's I take that $200 and pay for my flight and move on to the next one.
And on to the next one, and then you got cash for the next deal. Because now and I tell people this, and I want to say this before you say something, Goldberg. All right, so. If you take that $2,000, that's all the money that you have, right? And there's scenarios you're going to run across. I only have $5,000. This card is the best card I've ever had in my life. But if you're making money, you can catch the next one. If it's something that's not that, we're talking about something that's not numbered, right? We're talking about something that's not low number, something that's not rare. Again, doesn't fall under that umbrella where I was talking about irreplaceable. Something you can go you buy for $1,800, you sell it for $2,000, you make $200, you wash, rinse, repeat. You do it again. You go back and buy the same car for somebody else for $1,800, and now you're really into it $1,600.
The irreplaceable part is a big deal.
You saw what?
Because the irreplaceable part is a big deal, and it takes a little bit to learn that, right? And when you're like, if I'm picking up what you're putting down, so like, you don't know what's good when you first enter the hobby. So
100%.
Make these transactions, take profit where you can. The real value is the lessons. And if you get profit on top of that, now you could kind of like, it's you get that experience, you get that intuition, you start picking up kind of where things are trending, and then start to put your money into things that are irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Or is it too early? Is there another step? Because when you put your money into
what helped me in the beginning is I started putting $1,000 cards to the side, and the $1,000 cards to the side I was putting away was Kevin Durant refractors, stuff that I knew for a fact were undervalued, and I felt like there was an opportunity. I literally bought a card for $1,000 and sold it for $20. Think about that.
KD?
You said what?
Was it KD refractor?
It was a Kevin Durant Bowman Chrome refractor 9.5. I bought it for $1,100, sold it for $20,000. Right? So if you do that 10 times, and this is, of course, the hobby's changed since then, but we're talking about, so because the hobby's different now, you got to figure out a different way to kind of replicate that. And I think this what makes it a little difficult than I think we did in the past. I don't know, Cage, if you have any ideas for that, but like I feel like there has to be a way for people to do that, or if not, just keep wash, rinsing, and repeating to get to the point to where you can get comfortable enough to put a nice LeBron James rookie to the side, to put a nice Kevin Durant rookie or Steph Curry rookie to the side, or if you like Pat Mahomes or Tom Brady, put those to the side, because these are things that, ultimately once Tom Brady's gone or LeBron's gone, these are people who are solidified in the hobby enough to where they won't go down much. And I think we haven't even seen the highest bump on LeBron yet, which is why.
I was going to ask you about LeBron. My theory is that those same returns are in the 6-figure, 7-figure cards now.
I think you're right.
It's a different class of collectors, and the 6-figure, 7-figure collectors are the ones who were dealing. See, so I won't speak for Raphael, but I was dealing in $5 raw into $150, $200 cards. Right? That was how I started. When I was doing that, there were people who were trading in $1,000 to $2,000 cards at the time. And they did the same thing I did, 10Xing. Mm-hmm. But when they 10X'd, it was moving into $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 cards. So the same thing, it is a pyramid, not a scheme. It is a pyramid, like the food pyramid, right? And I was on the bottom. But I think I managed to, because of my timing in this and because of sweating and filling out PSA forms and trading, and I moved up to the next level. I'm nowhere near the top. Right? I'm nowhere near that part. Either. But I moved up to the top. There are people who were the rung above me, right? And they moved up a rung, right? Yep. There's less and less people as you move up, right? But you're right about the 6-figure ones, because now the same people who were fighting over those $25,000, $30,000 cards, they're not fighting over $100,000 cards, right? The people who are selling their LeBrons, the exquisites, for $1 million, $1.4 million, $1.8 million now, those are people who a couple years ago were buying them for between $100,000 and $200,000.
Or actually, if you're lucky, you bought the guy who I purchased mine from. He paid $2,000 for it, 2003, and
that's going back too far.
I'm just like, wow, well, you won.
You know what's funny about that? Let's bring that, because I got to tell you, right? So maybe my favorite episode ever, 500 something episodes in, no baloney. Because if I'm listening to this, you got a bit of everything. You got a story, you got a little bit of truth, you got a little bit of, hey, you know what? The way that worked before is not there. And if you want to succeed, yeah, you can, but you got to put some sweat into it. You got to work at it. There's a way to do it, but it's not the easy way anymore. And it's a little bit of honesty, but let's talk about that. The next thing that I would want to hear if I'm out there is, if we're being honest, brutally honest with our listeners, right? The thing that I hate the most about the hobby and anything else is I hurt my neck because I look back so often. My neck is broken from looking back so often, right? And I got regret. That tattoo, no regards, whatever the hell that guy did. It's a funny little thing, right? I need that on my ass, right? But the word no is missing. I'm all about the regards, right? Regards and farts. That's me. That's on my ass. So, but the funny, listen, I mean, the truth is, every one of us has that story. But you're telling me, and listen up, folks, you had a LeBron exquisite, which is now a 7-figure card any day of the week. One just sold, the number 23 out of 99 just sold for 2-point-something million. Josh from Cardboard Chronicles sold his for $1 million. Then it got bumped to a higher grade, so he's probably even pissed off. How do you sell a card for $1 million and be pissed off right after? But we find a way to do it. You sold one for $2,000?
The guy. I'm sorry. He sold it to me, and he sold it to me. That's the one I showed you earlier, the 2003 exquisite patch auto.
Right.
Yeah, he paid. He told me, he's like, yeah, I paid $2,000. I'm trying to buy a house. I'm like, nice. I'm glad I could help.
$2,000. But the thing is, somebody sold that for $2,000.
100%.
Right. So I don't care what I did. I don't care.
Do you have regrets, Raphael?
I'm trying to think. Not really. Honestly,
nice.
I mean, not really. I'll say this. How about this? I'll say this. All right, so my buddy Jesse, if you know my story, my buddy Jesse is one of the reasons why I got back in the hobby in the first place. Jesse, he goes by Meter to Meter. He's from Chicago. He got back in the cards when we were both in college. And of course, we met through cards, honestly, when we were in high school. So we get to college. I can't afford to stay in college. For one, I didn't have a card. So I couldn't go to a card shop. I was in Alabama, so I really couldn't tell you where a card shop was. And so as I got in my later years, I started, making a little bit of money. He says to me, you need to buy Giannis Prizm base are $1. Those things are going to be worth a lot of money, man. You got to, and I was like, whatever. And I bought Nocioni. I bought a Nocioni National Treasures. And because he said the best card you can get is National Treasure. I said, okay, cool. So I went back, looked at Nocioni. I was like, I'm a Bulls fan because there was the fan in me. It was and I think that's what people don't understand when you get into the hobby is you have to figure out who you are first in the hobby. And we want to be fans and collectors of the hobby so bad. But the reality is you run out of money really quick being a fan. And so that's where I was at the time. So my biggest regret is was the Giannis Prizm base is probably the only regret I have. Other than that, I mean, I've sold some things to make some good money, and I'm sure people have made money after me, and I'm okay with that. I think I'm more okay with that than I have.
Love the fan story. I famously tell a story here about how one auction in summer of 2018, I'm a Yankee fan, I was between two cards, and they were both about $5,000. And I went with the one that was a couple $100 less, sold for $4 and change instead of the one that sold for $5. I bought an Aaron Judge Heritage High Number Red Ink Auto, one of only 12 PSA 10s. I paid $4 and change for it. It was, he was injured at the time. The one before it sold for like 12. And I was like, I'm getting a bargain here. He's going to come back. He just hit 52 home runs. He'll come back next year. He's going to hit 100 home runs. He's going to be the best Yankee of all time. And I did not buy the LeBron Chrome Refractor PSA 10 for $5,000 because I'm a Yankee fan. It happens.
So you have a LeBron jersey behind you. Is that like game worn? What's the significance of that jersey?
It's his first Lakers autograph jersey. I really wanted my office to be like I'm a Bulls fan, right? And the Bulls' first championship was versus the Lakers, so I wanted to do a Bulls versus Lakers theme for the office. So I literally have Bulls and Lakers stuff in the office. So therefore, I have Kobe jersey, I have LeBron, I have my boy
Derrick Rose is goated. Magic Johnson played for the Lakers too. If you want to replace that 23 with the 32.
I know, I understand what you're saying, but outside of Kobe being the greatest Laker ever, I think LeBron can get that if he gets like 1 or 2 more rings.
Where is the Phil Jackson autograph right in the middle of the two?
Actually, I probably should have that. It's probably a good idea. I honestly, I have a lot of wall space right in front of me. I literally I had to put the Kobe up, and I thought about putting Kobe's first championship picture here because I have on the wall over here. You won't be able to see it, but I have Jordan's first when he won his trophy, when he cried with his dad looking over him. I have that autographed, and it's one of the things I have in my office. And I just, just like I said, I wanted to make it fun, and it's my childhood, man. So it's fun.
So you've watched this Lakers team this year.
I watched takes?
Are you worried about his legacy at all, or is his legacy? Because most LeBron fans, this is what they say: his legacy is already set as the greatest 1 or 2 player of all time, and it could only go up from here. They have no downside. Most LeBron fans. I'm curious your take.
I would like to see him win a ring. I think he has accomplishments. That's going to happen that people aren't thinking about. There's the accomplishment with him playing with his son, which I think is an amazing accomplishment, right? Being able to play for over 20 plus years and be able to see and play with your son. I think that's an amazing accomplishment for anybody.
Griffey.
Yeah, of course. And then be able to, and then the other accomplishment people are not talking about is the fact he's going to have 40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, and 10,000 assists, and that's never going to be replicated. That's going to be something that's once he does that, in the next couple of years. And literally, he's probably a year and a half from even doing that. And then I would like to see him win a ring. I think I would like to see him win another ring. This team is a little scary. I'm a little worried about Russell Westbrook because I don't know if he really fits the dynamics. Either LeBron has to turn into a shooter, which I definitely don't think. But honestly, I'll scratch Russell Westbrook out of the equation because I'm going to say this. Anthony Davis is not as advertised. I liked him before he became a Laker. I do not like him as a Laker. I only use that as a scenario because I know people want to put the blame on Russell Westbrook, but after thinking about it, I think it's more Anthony Davis's fault than I think Russell Westbrook's fault because I think Russ is always going to be Russ, right? But I think Anthony Davis, to me, has not shown that for him to be – he literally should be in his prime right now. He should be in his prime right now. And there used to be an argument where people used to say, well, Anthony Davis is just as good as Giannis. I can honestly say that's not true anymore. And I think that's a problem for Anthony Davis and Anthony Davis fans because I feel like before when he was in New Orleans and he was at the top of his game, when he was dropping 55 points in the playoffs and he was going crazy, 14, 18 rebounds, and he was just showing himself to be everything that we would love to see the Lakers. But he kind of fell to the side to where now he's just, to me, he's like a semi-star. And I think that before they replace coaches, I think Anthony Davis is at fault for one. For two, I think that it could be a little bit of the coach because I feel like their bench should probably get a little bit more playing. I think Malik Monk should play more. I like him. I like him for the team. I think Carmelo's been playing well. I love
Carmelo. Monk.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Monk.
Yeah.
Dude, Monk is really good, man. Monk is he's not really
the
good.
Greediest player ever. He's great off a bench. He's instant offense. He is legit. That dude will never pass you. I don't care. You put him on there with LeBron. LeBron could be open. He's not passing into LeBron. He wouldn't pass to Michael Jordan.
That's facts. That's facts. But they kind of need someone to go and get buckets for them. So if you guys want to learn about the it factor, go back and listen to the last 2 minutes. And I'm going to give you guys two stats. Ready for it? So do you want Giannis's or Anthony Davis's stats first?
You can go with either or. Don't matter. Go. I'm not really.
Rafa, you're literally Cage. Anytime I ask Cage any question on the air, he just throws the question right back at me.
You know what that's called?
Answering.
It's being respectful. He doesn't have a preference. So you go ahead and steal his choice.
All right. Yep. So here's Giannis's stats this year: 27 points per game, 1.7 blocks, 1 steal, 5 assists, 11 rebounds on 58% shooting.
27 and 11.
27 and 11. Anthony Davis. 24 points a game, 2 blocks a game, 1.5 steals a game, 10.5 rebounds a game on 54% shooting. And that is so interesting, right? Because you go all over the internet. People love stats. They love box scores. They don't watch the games. But what we just described there is what I call the it factor. You could hit all the numbers. You could have all the stats, but impact on the game is not measured in stats.
It's still LeBron's team. No matter what it doesn't matter how, and to me, it should be more like how it was in Miami where the Dwayne Wade had kind of bowed down a little bit to LeBron and said, you know what, in order for me to win, I gotta let him be the guy. LeBron should be able to say, I gotta let Anthony Davis be the guy. Or Anthony Davis needs to say, look, I'm the guy. I'm in my prime right now. Let me drop 40. Let me drop 50. Let me do this. Anthony Davis can literally do everything. It's no way in the world. I just think that in order for them to win, I think and to me, he's not aggressive. He's just not that guy to me.
Who's that on? So my curiosity, and you could do percentages. How much of that is on the greatest player of all time, the great leader, to take this young guy and be like, this is your team, go out and get it. We just said Dwayne Wade did this for LeBron. Or is it on Anthony Davis to be the dog and be like, yo, LeBron, step aside. I'm gonna get you that 5th chip, but I need to get my 25 shots a game. Who's it on?
You want to say something, Cage? Because I think you're gonna say what I'm gonna say.
Well, I mean, LeBron is not gonna let Davis do it until Davis shows it. Wade didn't just say, LeBron, I'm gonna let you do this. LeBron took that.
Exactly.
You could say whatever you want about LeBron, and I'm not a huge LeBron, what do you call it, bronze testicle? Like, I'm not a bronze testicle, right? But there are people who are bronze lovers. I'm not. But he took it. Like, you didn't know who was the number one on that team. But Bron, I'm sure it wasn't a conversation in the locker room like, hey, Dwayne,
Leave no doubt.
I want to score some points today. I'll take 27 shots. No, it was go out there and do it. And it happens. And you know what? AD, he's not that guy.
Nope.
He's not that guy. I mean, that's what he's shown here. And this team misses Alex Caruso. But I will say this about LeBron.
Caruso is the true GOAT.
I was worried about LeBron's legacy until this year. And he cemented it. That fine acting work he did in Space Jam, forget it. He is the most sound investment in the world. After that, I'm like, this guy, there's nothing he can't do. Let's go. Bye, LeBron. Bye, LeBron. No, I mean, listen, I think, you bring up a lot of good points with Bron, right? Because I think I'm in that court where, he's pretty cemented. Top 2, top 3, it's pretty fun. And the stats. The only thing I worry about with LeBron,
he likes you, Prizm Gawd. He likes you because
I do. But the only thing I worry about with LeBron, you like to you pull stats up. You pull stats up all the time, right? You pull stats of people, right? So right now, I'm worried that in 10 years, the people who are buying Jordan might find that people don't care about Jordan as much. Now, Jordan is legacy. Jordan's got the brand. Jordan's still in the game. He's still on the sidelines. You watch the Hornets games. He's the most heated. He's the most heated on the bench. The team isn't saying shit. The coach isn't saying shit. He's out there yelling and screaming. So he's still relevant to some degree, right?
Jordan LaMelo Ball too. I don't know if anybody knows that. He literally bought a house. He made LaMelo Ball buy a house right next to him off of North Carolina. Yes, he's watching.
Did you see LeVar's comment today? It's all antics, right? That's not true.
So listen.
Okay.
Look up. Do me a favor and look up Wilt Chamberlain's stats.
Okay.
I know look up Wilt Chamberlain's stats. They kill what anybody was doing. Dude's at 50-point games with 30-something rebounds and 20 blocks and quadruple doubles, quintuple doubles before they even kept that stat. I mean, the dude
but he didn't
is
shoot
like
threes.
And imagine how many points if he was shot threes. But it's a different game, right? But if you look at it, it's just stats. There was nobody like Wilt. But you know what? My son doesn't care about Wilt Chamberlain.
Nope. He likes Steph Curry.
He likes Steph Curry. 100%. Prizm Gawd. He likes Steph Curry. He doesn't like Wilt Chamberlain.
I want to talk to Rafael about
a little nervous
current young
LeBron's
players.
Playing. But in 10 years, he won't be playing.
Yeah, who knows where he might run for president. Honestly, he's that kind of ambitious guy. Your Bulls, man. Your Bulls are doing an incredible job, man. You're a Bulls fan, right?
Yep.
Are you pumped for this team? Like, how far do you think that they could go? And who is the investable guy on that team? If there is one.
I would say it's Zach LaVine if you're going to buy anybody, but I think he's just been in the league so long and been stale for so long as an investment. I think it would take something amazing for him to be like a really big investment, because I think if you think about people like Kawhi Leonard, right? Does anybody care about Kawhi Leonard? He has like 2 or 3 rings and MVP, finals MVP, and nobody cares. Like, I mean, so and ultimately, here's the thing: is as good as the Bulls are playing, and I think they're playing really good basketball, they will not win a ring. And that's where my optimism is, because it's like the reality is it's either going to probably, we already know who we think it's going to be. Probably Golden State, Lakers on a whim. Maybe they catch fire by the end of the year, or figure it out by the end of the year. Brooklyn, if they bring back Kyrie, or some amazing trade might happen. I just think as good as the Bulls are playing, like I just think that the NBA, I don't know, the NBA is really weird to me right now. So it's kind of like, that's why I probably haven't really been watching it as much as I like. I look at the stats. So it's like one amazing stat to me is the top 20 people in the NBA are literally within 2 points of each other. Have you noticed that?
Top 20 point scores?
Yep. Averaging points per game. There's literally 28, which is Kevin Durant, who's right now number 1 in scoring. And literally everything down within that wing are literally within like 2 points. Like Trey is like 26. Steph is like 27. It's like literally we're literally everything's within. So Reason why I
Cage
say that,
talked about that parody, right?
if you look at the standings are really similar too. So the NBA is really more competitive than I think it's ever been. And so because of that, like people sleep on teams like Miami. Like Miami's a good team, and on paper, they could probably gonna make some noise in the playoffs. I don't know. I feel like the NBA is just in a weird place for me, where I don't really care as much about the season anymore as I do the playoffs. So
No
it's
wonder you're a Lakers fan.
like,
That's the
I'm a
Lakers
Bulls
way.
fan.
That's the
I'm
LeBron
just
way.
saying, I'm a
That's
Bulls
the
fan,
LeBron
but
way.
like the reality is this. The sad part about it is, look, the sad part about this is it doesn't matter until you get to the playoffs. So, the Lakers can go through whatever they're going through, but if they're like an 8 seed, right, and they play the Lakers and they sweep the Lakers, then who cares about not the Lakers, but Golden State. Then they sweep the Golden State, and who's the best team in the playoffs? Everybody's going to say it's the Lakers.
Yep. No, you're 100% right. 100% right. Listen, this was a lot of fun, man. You brought up a lot of great stuff. This was a great conversation. I hope the folks at home were enjoying this. We're going to have you back on.
I wanted to ask Rafael, what is? Oh, you got to bounce. I know. What is something that we should have asked you, or you wanted? No, I've never asked this before, right? But you're at shows all the time. You have a ton of conversations that I might not even be privy to. Is there anything that's top of mind that someone on the other end is a listener? He might be in the hobby the last 12 months that you might want to impart some knowledge on, maybe an insight, something like that.
I'll say 2 statements, and one really bothers me a lot, and it's only because I'm doing shows, and I don't think it really bothered me as much as it does now because I'm promoting shows, and it's not really to like push Cultural Collision, even though I want to push Cultural Collision, right? But the reality is, the one thing I'll say is the first thing is, if the hobby is blessed you, pay it forward, right? So. Because ultimately we're building relationships, and I think it's important to keep those relationships open. We have to take care of each other. We have to be able to do for each other. And sometimes, it goes back to that $1,800 and $2,000, right? Did you make money? If they sell it for $2,200 or $2,500, are you really mad? Because they went out on a limb and they spent a little bit more money than you did because they believed a little bit more than you did. And not even just saying that because of that, maybe they have a little bit more money. So maybe they can afford to stay in that world a little bit longer than you can. So I say that the reason why I say this, pay it forward, be okay with making the minimum margins and keep grinding and keep going until you figure out what's worth holding on to. The other aspect, and I don't know if you guys want to chime in, but you can. The other aspect that really irks me is if you are in the hobby, be involved in the hobby and figure out a way to help the hobby, because the reality is so many people that are taking from the hobby that are just making money and they're like, what's his name? He just lit up I think a Jordan rookie or something like that. Vegas Dave. All right. So Vegas Dave. All right. So came in the hobby.
Vegas Cage.
That's me.
Cage.
I'm Vegas Cage.
Vegas Cage. There you go. So people people are, people are literally, I'm not gonna say no names, but there are people that literally are jumping into the hobby, taking advantage of it, making money, and they're not paying it for it, they're not putting anything, and they're not trying to invest. And then there are shops that are literally opening up, just trying to take advantage and don't know anything about the hobby. And what I mean by that, they're not a part of the community. A part of what I said in Culture Collision was we are the hobby, which means for the people that don't understand that is when you go to a card show, be involved in the card show, be proactive, talk to people, and figure out ways to be involved and try to figure out ways to make things better. So I say that to say, like, there are people literally that are out there at card shops. I have a problem with people that have card shops that don't go to card shows. I do. I really do, because I feel like, here's the thing. If you're open on the day a card show is open, then you're not promoting the brand of what the hobby is. And I think if you say, hey, I'll be at this card show this weekend, guess what? People are going to do? They're going to come to the card show. They're going to support another aspect of the hobby, which is it's not just a card shop, it's a show. And the show has to do its job too. Is we have to create, as show promoters, we have to create gateways where we can get the people that are involved and get options out there. So, Cage, I don't know if you're listening, but
I am.
It's a situation where, like we talked about for the people that are new to the hobby and they want to figure out how to make money in the hobby, right? It's like I got to be able to buy. I have to be able to grade cards. I can't afford to pay PSA $100. What's the alternative? Maybe it's SGC. Maybe it's HGA. Figure out whatever's out there. I don't know what the costs are on certain things, but figure out these things. So at Culture Collision, we're bringing all these people here. We have a conversation about it. We talk about it, and you can make a sound decision based upon what information that you know to be able to make the right decision. So I think it's important that we be involved in a community and not just take from the community and be a part of it. And if you can't, then that's fine. Just support the shows. I mean, just go support the shows, support your local card shop. And thank you guys for listening and having me. I appreciate it. So
it's been a blast. Cage always has to get his kids on Friday, so sometimes it works out. But like, it's a mindset, right? Like, there's plenty of ways to give back to the hobby. Like, it's literally as simple as you overhear at a show a kid talking about how he loves Mookie Betts, and you're like, oh, I have a PSA 9 or a PSA 10 Mookie Betts card. Would you want this? Like something so subtle to like you mentioned, you're a card store, but there's a show. Bring your customers to the show. Mm-hmm. Now everybody wins. You're the store. You still get all the benefits. You can still sell your cards at the show. The show wins because behind every show, there's a person and a family. And the customers win. Not only do they get your stuff, they get to learn. You could introduce them to people. There's a million ways to give back. The hobby is actually one of the easiest places to give back, I found.
Agreed. I agree. I've been blessed to that regard, man. I mean, a lot of people have given back to me, but I sowed my seeds really early. I didn't know what I was going to do in the hobby, but I wanted to make sure I kept my nose clean. I wanted to make sure that I kept, staying active, and I built genuine relationships with people. And sometimes I took that $2,000 instead of $2,500, and I think a lot of it is just because I felt like, hey, I on to the next one, Okay, I don't have it like that. I can't afford to keep it, so I have to move on. And I think that you just have to figure that out, and I think if you pay it forward, it'll come back to you. So,
agreed. So, this has been a lot of fun, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna have Prizm Gawd Raphael on again. His show is called Culture Collision. It's in Atlanta. It's in February. Do you know the date exactly yet?
It's February 25th to 27th. February 25th to the 27th. There we go. Sorry. It's probably going to reflect my flip. Yep,
it's going to be a blast.
We're actually doing a charity basketball game, 4-on-4 guys. Sasha's going to be in it. I'm going to be in it. Nady's going to be in it. We got Mikey from Pool Wax going to be in it. So we're going to have a lot of people in it. It's going to be 4-on-4 basketball.
Am I not in it?
You gotta sign up.
Gotta sign up.
You
can't read your mind.
Do you know Sasha T and I have a bet for?
I know that, but I told you that we were going to do the tournament.
I'm there.
You gotta sign up.
You gotta sign up.
Sign up.
Where do I go?
When I post the jerseys, I'm gonna post more stuff soon. Once I get, because what's gonna happen is gonna be random teams. So at least you'll have your moment, unless you play with it, unless you get lucky enough to play with it. So it's
nice.
40. It's 40 players. 8 teams, 5 people per team, 1 alternate, 4-on-4. It's going to be a live tournament at Culture Collision at the show. Literally, you don't have to leave the show. You're going to be able to go back to the back of and we're going to have a basketball court. It's going to be really cool.
Harlem Buckets.
Hey, there you go. Go get them, man. Sasha's waiting for you.
You don't want me on your team, Goldberg. I come with 6 fouls and no talent.
So I might coach every night. I'm like, I'll be Phil Jackson. I'll play a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Phil now. Unless somebody gets injured. God forbid somebody gets injured.
That's it. Yeah, Goldberg, what do you mean you don't know how to run the triangle? Get back out there. Let's go. It's a triangle offense. What do you mean you don't know? That'll be fun. Be a good time.
Man. We have MVP. It's going to be really fun, man. MVP.
Best part of that.
Too.
I saw your flyer. Kids free is the biggest words on there. Love it. Kids come free. Because we talk about the pyramid of the hobby and the people coming in and making their bones. I mean, this hobby goes away if the kids aren't in it. You don't have cards for the kids. You don't have the shows for the kids.
If you don't fly in with Ian, I'm gonna be personally offended, Kate.
Sure. I'll fly. I'll put them on my back. I'll fly in. I just flew into Atlanta, and boy, are my arms tired. No.
Well, kids are free. Also, we're gonna do a three-point shootout for kids. It'll be free for them, and whoever has the most threes, like we're gonna have tons of giveaways that weekend for kids. It's really catered towards the kids, and as well, I really want Culture Collision to focus on A to Z collectors. We want to have for your most advanced collectors to your beginner collectors, because we're going to have panels. We're going to talk about what's going on in the hobby. We're going to talk about how to be successful in the hobby. We're going to have all these different grading companies. They're going to talk about how to grade, what to grade, why choose them over somebody else. So hope you guys enjoy that, man. It's gonna be really dope. So
Listen, I appreciate it, man. I gotta bounce. It's been
No
awesome
problem.
chatting
Thank
with
you,
you.
Paige.
Appreciate you.
Take care.